Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. So this video was highly requested on Instagram. Someone actually DM'd me asking to film a video like this, and I popped it on my stories just to see if anyone else was interested in seeing it, and a lot of you guys were, so I'm happy to film it. I literally posted it today, so I've just whipped the camera out and I thought, you know what, I'll do it today. I'll give you guys a rundown on Harper's routine and probably give you like a little insight this evening to how our evenings tend to look now she's 3 months old. So I'll just quickly, I don't want to ramble on too much because like this video will probably be really long anyway, but so initially the question or the request was to do a video on how Harper got into a routine at night and the stages, etc. I will start from the very beginning. So Harper, around about 4 weeks old, she went through a phase of like screaming every evening at the same time. So she'd have her 7 p.m. bottle and then she would be okay for that hour, and then around about 8 o'clock she would start screaming and being really unsettled. It wasn't consistent, it was on and off, but like there was probably only like 5-minute gaps in between, and that would go on till an hour and a half maybe. And she did it once, and then she did it another night, the next night, and then I think she did it 3 times consistently. And then I was thinking, what on earth is wrong? Like, and I put it on my story and people were saying it could be colic, because I think that's a very common thing that young babies have, and they say it happens at the same time every day and it's like consistent, like it will go on for hours. So everyone was saying that, but I don't know. Oh, and she was sort of like scrunching up and like tensing and sort of kicking her legs and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, it could have been a build up of, actually I don't know, because, well, anyway, what I'm gonna say is after the 3 days of her doing that, I said to Harry, I was like, right, tomorrow night I'm gonna feed her at 7, and then when it hits sort of 8, like 8 o'clock approaches, I'm gonna go upstairs and I'm gonna put her down in the next to me crib. I'm gonna put her in a swaddle, lay her down and see if she'll go to sleep. Anyway, that day comes and I did exactly that. I don't know if I bathed her that night, I'm not too sure. But anyway, I put her down to sleep just before 8 o'clock and she actually fell asleep and she didn't cry at all that night. And I don't know how long she slept for, I can't remember, but there was probably I think from what I can remember actually, yeah, early on me and Harry would be like running up and down the stairs putting her dummy back in, because as soon as her dummy fell out she'd wake up and sort of like cry for it. So I remember in the first few weeks we'd be up and down, which is fine, like, you know, as soon as you put the dummy back in she's okay, so I can deal with that. It was just getting a lot of exercise running up and down the stairs. I said to Harry, I'm going to stick by this, and you know, we kind of fell into a routine, I guess. Like, I wasn't really like, right, well, I kind of was a little bit, because I love a routine, so I did want to kind of, you know, I did want her to have a routine, but I wouldn't say, you know, that was sort of like a bit of a spontaneous routine that we kind of fell into, because I wasn't intending to do it that early on. It was just that she was getting so unsettled that time of night for those 3 days. I thought, I'm gonna have to just try and just see. I think being a mum, it's all sort of trial and error. Like, you have to just give things a go, otherwise you're never gonna know. Yeah, like I said, we just stuck with it, and then I think the older she got, so probably around about 5 or 6 weeks, because I was giving her a bath every 3 days at this stage. I wasn't doing it every day, but as she got older I did start to do them more frequently, so it's like every 2 days and then every day. Since then she has stuck with that and she has been absolutely fine. There's probably been a few nights where she's not wanting to go down, and she comes down here with us. That was sort of way back when she was little. She doesn't do that now. She really kind of took to that routine and it really helped, and there was no more of the crying at 8 o'clock for 2 hours. So that's what makes me think it's not colic. And also I remember when she was little, she went through a phase of suffering with quite bad tummy pains. Like, I don't know if colic and sort of like gripe pain are the same thing, but one day I remember she was just consistently crying and I didn't know what to do. My mum was like, why don't you try and give her gripe water? I think gripe water's more of like an old thing that they used to give babies. I know a lot of people now give Infocol, but my mum bought me a bottle of gripe water and brought it round, and we started her on that. And I think she was on that from probably 6 or 7 weeks. And that seemed to really calm her down. She didn't have any sort of, she wasn't crying at all. She kind of switched and then never cried, unless she was like overtired or, you know, that was really it. She's just not really been sort of a cry baby. So she did have a bit of tummy troubles back when she was little, and that could have potentially kept her, you know, like made her a bit fussy of an evening, like build up of milk and that in the tummy, like maybe caused her a bit of pain. But anyway, so yeah, she stuck with that routine, and now she's 3 months old, or 3.5 months old, nearly 4 months. And yeah, that is her routine. So now it's slightly changed. So what we do now is, so let's start with the evening. So we've changed her bottle time. So she still has every 4 hours, but we've changed the time slightly. So she now does 6 AM, 10 AM, 2 PM, 6 PM and 11 PM. And we've dropped the night feed. So I dropped the night feed when she was probably about 11 weeks old, because she wasn't waking up for it in the night, and I did sort of leave it an extra hour and see if she would sort of stir for it, and she never did. So that sort of gave me the, I was nervous to do it, I must admit, because the first night I did it, I was sort of like, kept peeking over, making sure she was all right, and she was absolutely fine. And like everyone was saying, she'll wake you up if she's hungry, you know? So yeah, I was just a bit like, oh, you know, going through the whole night, and she never woke up. So she would sort of stir around about 5-ish, and then I'd try and hang it out till 6. So yeah, we feed her at 6 PM, and then I sort of sit her up for a little bit, and then I start to run her bath. So she probably gets in the bath around about 6:30, and then she will go to bed at 7. Saying that, or it could be just before 7, it depends on how long bath time takes, you know, or how long we sort of keep between the bottle and the bath time. So yeah, sometimes it's like 20 to 7 PM. At first it would take a little while for her to sort of resettle, because what she didn't like was getting in the bath and getting super relaxed in the bath, and then me getting her out the bath into the cold. Obviously, you know, it's warm, but when you get out of the bath it is a bit chilly. So she would sort of get really relaxed in the bath, and then I'd get her out, and then obviously lay her on her changing mat, and she would just not like it, because I think she just got so relaxed in the bath and sleepy, to then get out and then sort of be like woken up again. And for a few weeks she would just not really cry, but like she would just be a bit whingy. Like, she never really cried. It probably sounded like she was crying, but she wasn't. It was just sort of like whingy noises. But I feel like now she's got a bit used to it. But don't get me wrong, she still whinges when she gets out the bath and I'm drying her. There's been one time where she's actually fallen asleep when I've been drying her and getting her dressed. So she must have been really tired that day. But I'll give you an insight tonight of what it's like, and you can kind of see. So she'll go down, let's say 7 PM, and she will then sleep technically till 11, because we wake her back up at 11 to feed her. But it's called a dream feed. I don't know if you guys have heard of a dream feed. I didn't know what it was before I had Harper, or before I was pregnant. And basically it's when you feed them but they're still asleep. But it's weird because, you know, you don't obviously feed them in their cot, you have to get them out the cot. I do a nappy change, so I lay her onto the mat, I change her nappy and she stays asleep. She fidgets, but her eyes are shut the whole time, and like, you know, she scrunches her legs up, which is a nightmare to obviously get a nappy on and off when she's like kicking her legs about, but her eyes are shut. And I know people have said to me before, like, do you worry about choking? She has choked before, but you know, that's, I suppose it's where she's sort of dozed off a bit, like she's gone back into a bit of a sleep and then like realised she's drinking. But it's fine, like, you know, just sit them up, pat their backs. You know, you'll be surprised how smart babies are and how their natural reactions kick in that sort of situation. And then I will obviously sit her up, wind her whole time asleep. Like, it's so funny because she's just so floppy and cuddly, because at the minute when she's awake all she wants to do is fidget and sit up and move, whereas like 11 p.m. she's just so obviously fast asleep, and like, you know, you can just put her in any position, and oh, she's just so cute. And then yeah, I put her in her next to me crib, so she naps in her room in her big cot, and then from 11 till 6 she will be in the next to me crib with us, and she goes through the night. I hate to be that mum that's like, yeah, my baby sleeps through the night, but she does. And you know, I think people think that all babies are going to be up in the night and you're not going to get any sleep and you're going to be so sleep deprived for ages, and that's just not the case. I mean, I know it is for a lot of mums, but there's also mums out there that do get sleep, and I feel like no one ever speaks about the babies that do sleep. I just think it's pure luck. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not coming on here and acting as if I'm like some sort of expert. That is far from it. I've you know, gone into this like all of you guys, like, you just go in blind, you don't know what you're doing, you just sort of have to get to know your baby and they get to know you. I also think a very important part to the bedtime routine is lowering your tone when it gets to evening. Like I say to Harry all the time, like, because he can sometimes come in when I'm drying her, and you know, before, he doesn't do it now, but he would come in and he would be like all loud and like sort of, you know, in her face, like, you know, trying to have a laugh with her, and obviously there's me trying to lower the tone, get her sort of like unwinded and, you know, relax, and the white noise is on, the lights dimmed. So I say to him, like, you know, just lower your tone, please. And I think that really helps, you know, sort of like let them know that it's time to unwind and quieten down, that it's dark. I feel like she does know day to night now, just because in the day her naps are sort of not really, you know, she wakes up and she stirs more, and she might not have like long naps, it might just be little naps here and there. But in the night time, she sleeps right through. So I feel like she must know day to night now. I don't know. But at the minute she's having a nap. I'm just watching her. So yeah, I put her in a big cot in her swaddle. I think swaddles are, the Love to Dream swaddles, I highly recommend, because they have just worked so well for us. I think because they keep them snug. I don't like the idea of the ones where you wrap them and they're literally like this, that like their arms can't move. I really don't like the idea of them. But the Love to Dream ones, which is what she's got, is good because they allow her to keep her arms up like this, which is advised, like, you know, they say for their growth and everything. And she also like self-soothes with her hand, so she'll stroke her face with her hand. As you can see now, like her hands are up by her head, so she can self-soothe. She lays like her hand into her hand, and also the bottom bit allows their legs to be relaxed as well. Like their legs should never be straight together, they should be like that. All to do with their growth and everything. Also, what I wanted to say is, I heard the other day, I don't know how true this is, so don't, you know, take my word for it, but someone said the other day that formula fed babies sleep longer because it takes longer for the formula to digest, like the milk to digest in their stomachs. Whereas breastfed babies, it digests quicker, so they're awake more, or that they want to be fed more. And also I think with breastfeeding, you don't know how much they're taking. Like if they're just like literally feeding off you, obviously if you express then you know how much they're getting, but yeah, if you're breastfeeding then yeah, you don't know how much they're getting. So that could be another reason why your baby's waking up more or is more whingy, because they're hungry. I don't know, I never breastfed. From day one I formula fed, so I don't really know much about breastfeeding, but that's what someone told me. So that could be a reason as to why a lot of babies are awake more throughout the night, because they're hungry, or they want their mum as a comfort, like, or they want the boob as a comfort. And I say to everyone, obviously I'm lucky now, but I know that this could all change. Like when she hits a certain age, it could all change and she could be a nightmare. But do you know what? I'm gonna take it at the minute, because you know, we're in a really good routine. She's sleeping through, she's a happy baby, and yeah, it just seems to be working really well for us. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy it at the minute. Also, pay attention to awake times. I didn't know nothing about awake times before I had her, but obviously you hear more about it. Do you know what? TikTok's really helpful for like little tips and tricks, because obviously the algorithm, the more mum, parent, baby videos you watch, the more you're going to get on your timeline. Yeah, awake times are really important. So I can now sense when Harper's tired. I feel like I know that girl so well, and I mean, I suppose you do because you're with them 24/7, but I just know what sort of whinge means what, or what sort of cry means what. Well, I feel like I do. Obviously sometimes I'm like, could be a mixture of things, but you know, you really get to know them. And yeah, I know when she's tired, I know when she's had enough and she wants to go up for a nap. And yeah, awake times are really important. So let me just start from the morning actually. Let me tell you how our morning is. So she wakes up at 6 AM. She'll have a bottle at 6, and then she was once staying awake for an hour. An hour was her awake time. Obviously that was when she was probably what was it, up to newborn to 10-11 weeks I think it is, and then it goes up a little bit. So yeah, it's usually 45 minutes to an hour their awake time is, and then they go back down to sleep again. So they sleep a lot, and then when they hit 3 months it ups, so it's now an hour and 45 to 2 hours, or an hour and a half to 2 hours, something like that. So yeah, she is doing that now. She's staying awake for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So most times she will, like I say, wake up at 6 and then go back down at 8. So we'll have a bottle, we'll come downstairs, we'll have a play. So I do a mixture of things. I do a bit of screen time, I know, but the dancing fruits, I mean, it's nothing bad. Like, it's quite cool for them to watch. It's like a black screen and it has all like dancing fruits over the front of it. I'm sure you've heard of it if you're a mum. But yeah, you get it on YouTube and it's very, very handy to have. So she watches a bit of that for a little bit, and then she will lay on her playmat, her Fisher-Price piano playmat, and then she will also sit in her new chair which I got from Mamas and Papas. So yeah, she'll go back down at 8, and then she will usually nap for 2 hours. I don't know how, because she slept all night and then she'll go down for 2 hours. Like, I don't know how she does it, but yeah, she does. So sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's two hours. Like I say, the daytime naps are very mixed. They're not always the same. But I can deal with daytime naps being a bit of a mess because, you know, I'm getting a full night's sleep. So it doesn't really bother me. That is that, basically. I've been waffling on for so long, but that's just, I kind of wanted to give you a bit of a rundown before kind of showing you how it all looks. in our household. So what I'll do is later on today, it's 20 to 3 now, so we'll probably check in again around about 5ish, because I feel like that's when the evening starts, like Harry's on his way home. So yeah, I'll check in around about 5ish, and yeah, you can spend the evening with us. So Harper's been napping for about 2.5 hours now. It's 4:30, so she's yet to wake up. So I'm gonna go in and wake her up, because if I wake her up now, it's 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, that's 2 hours. So that's around about when she usually goes to bed. So she should be able to stay up for 2 hours now, from now. She might be a little bit grumpy, but I think it's best for her to get those 2 hours awake time in before her night ahead. And obviously Harry will be home at some point, and he can make a fuss of her and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna go and wake her up now. I really need to get a toy box for here, because all of these toys are stressing me out. Oh, look at her. Her swaddle. The thing is, we have her swaddle like this because when it's zipped up right, sometimes this zip bit like flips up, and it, like, not that it's hard or sharp, like, but it just kind of digs into her neck. So we tend to leave it a little bit unzipped. I have to wake up. Big stretch. She's not having it, is she? I'm gonna open the curtains up, let some light in. That Tommy Tippy sound, white noise, comes on if it detects noise. So I suppose if she's crying, it comes on just to kind of settle her again. But she doesn't need that on now. God, she's really not waking up, is she? Harper. Oh my god. Oh, I think that made her jump. Hello, darling. Hello, sleepy. Hello, chop. Oh. Hello. Oh. You're a nice long nap. Oh, careful. She sticks her fingers in her mouth now, because obviously she's probably teething a little bit. She sticks them too far in and makes herself choke. Not ideal. What's that? The hair, I can't deal. What is it? So as you just saw, she's gone down straight away, which was such a relief, because sometimes she can fight it a little bit, and she doesn't quite realise that she's been put down to sleep. She feels like she's just been put down, but she was very quiet actually this time round. So yeah, she's self-soothing, is it self-soothing, self-settling herself to sleep, and I'm about to eat my dinner. So happy days, and I will check back in at 11 PM for her last feed of the day. He's watching it from downstairs because he just moved it. Oh, he's calling up to me. Yeah? I know, I'm watching. Is it because of the dummy? She looks well scary, didn't she, overnight time? Look, she's just looking at the camera. Thing is, I don't go in until she starts to actually like make a noise, you know. She might just resettle herself.